Hey, how goes it? Welcome back. Glad to have you guys. God, today was a long day. So today I'm gonna talk on drugs in prison and in jail, but most of this is gonna be strictly penitentiary or prison, excuse me. So one thing when I think of drugs in prison that comes to mind to me, right? So when I was at Coffee Creek, which is our intake center, and also, half women's, half intake for men. I'll never forget it, and I can't believe more people didn't think of this or realize it, but one of the orderlies starts flipping his wig, pissed off because somebody took a shit in the shower. So in intake, they have like just normal single-stalled showers with a curtain, which is bizarre because everywhere else I went didn't have that. And he had to clean the dookie up. He found himself a log of turd. So, and everyone, he was like, I'm not cleaning it up. And then the officer celled everybody in, was like, if so-and-so, blah, blah, whoever doesn't admit to it, we're going to be celled in for the next few days. And I instantly knew. I'm like, well, he ain't going to say it because he just took his package out. An intake, it's really, you don't know your cellie. You don't want to risk trying to take it out there. You know what I mean? Like, heaven forbid that your cellie's some punk or some dude that, maybe not a punk, but, some dude who's doing 20 years and wants to get 5 years off his sentence or, whatever. So you're not going to take the package out in your cell if you can prevent it, And apparently this dude just had to take the dookie doo-doo at the same time. So that's just what I think of off Jump Street. I never figured out who it was, and I very well could have been wrong, honestly, but I don't think so. That's super weird. It's not jail. There's not as many crazies there. So I think dude took the package out and did whatever he needed to do and put the package back. Just my opinion. So that's one story. So after I left intake, I make it to Eastern Oregon Correctional Institution, and there wasn't a bunch of hard drugs, but when I was there, the big thing was hash. There was a lot of hash. I never personally did any of it. I've seen a bunch of it. And it was really bizarre because later in my bid, I seen more of it, but it was so much more expensive. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody that goes home at the end of the day was bringing it in, if that makes sense. Not saying it was a CO per se, but somebody who goes home at the end of the day. Because if you see a pack of cigarettes in prison, I don't care if you're the Hoopmaster King, Suitcasin' Deluxe, you are not fitting the pack in your ass. And if you are, there's something seriously wrong with you. Like, come on. And, I seen packs of cigarettes, and, so I knew somebody was bringing stuff into people. But the hash game was big. The most I ever seen was, probably like 3 or 4 grams, which is a lot for being in prison. And it was basically like the size of an eraser, like on the end of a pencil, for $10, which fast forward 2 years, a year, that was like $60 at a different institution. So, and, not that there wasn't hard drugs, there was a little bit of speed, but I definitely never fucked with that. I drank hooch twice, but other than that, I didn't really do any drugs in prison, which part of it was, I didn't want to, but at the same time, it didn't present itself at the right time. Like, if it would have happened, my first 2 or 3 months, I probably would have done it because I was still in that messed up mind state. I had a little bit of sobriety time, but not long enough to be actually clear-headed. So I'm grateful for that. But I also didn't sort it out, look for it. And I just knew going in that I wasn't going to get into debt to anybody. And, contrary to like the way I hear a lot of other people do it is like, they'll go up to dude with a bag of coffee and a bag of protein and do the transaction. Well, in our prison system, 95% of the time, you're going to get into debt first, because what will happen is they'll shoot you whatever you're buying, and then they'll shoot you a list with it. And they'll say, hey, I want a bag of protein, 5 envelopes, and, a bag of creamer, or whatever, however much the debt is, they'll shoot you a list for that amount. And obviously, if you talk to people that work with you, if you're like, hey, people will work with you. But at the same time, like, they shoot you that list, and unless you don't specify right then and there that it will not be next commissary, if you do not bring that next commissary, if it ain't your homeboy, you are getting handled. No questions asked. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get your face smashed in, but you're absolutely going to pay that debt next week. Believe that. So one of my best friends got locked up shortly thereafter, and he went to the state penitentiary in Oregon, and it's a lot more crack in there. Like, that's in the valley, like the Willamette Valley. That's Portland, Salem, and Eugene. So that's where all the metro areas are. So there's a lot more action. There's a lot more stuff going on. And, with that, there's money to be made, man. And prison is a big business. They employ a lot of people. So that makes the odds of somebody, or even yourself, knowing somebody who knows somebody who works there pretty high. And those, they don't make much money. I mean, I think like starting rate for a CO is like 45-50 grand a year, which really isn't, it's better than McDonald's, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing to write home about. So if somebody has the opportunity to make $1,000 extra a week, $4,000 a month, right? You do the math. That's a lot of cash. So it's happening. And he said in there, like a match head, $15 all day long. Obviously, it ebbs and flows. Like if the bag's harder to get or running low, you're paying up to $50 for that match head. But generally in the valley, it's cracking enough to where you got action on it. And in Oregon, so I don't know where all you guys are at, but in Oregon, pot's legal. So it ain't that crazy for, said CO or kitchen staff worker or nurse or chaplain or whoever it is to go to the dispensary, spends $40 on a quarter ounce, and then turns that $40 quarter ounce into $150. I didn't see a lot of weed. I seen a little bit, but mostly that hash. And what was weird was, it was like this stuff you used to see back in the day, like the nasty brick, just black, nasty hash. But it was abundant. There was a lot of it. So another thing I think of is, like, towards the end, when I was at minimum in this drug program, there was these dudes doing like salvia and spice. And these dudes would wig out, man. Like, they would Oh, these dudes are smoking salvia like next to the soda machine, because the camera's like above the soda machine, so they would just go right up next to it, and dudes were like falling out and hitting their head on the soda machine, and it was awful. It was kind of funny, and then dudes were like going into the bathroom and smoking it, and blowing the spot up. And I seen one dude smoke that, and I was like, I'm out. Like, no. Oh, those dudes would do the dumbest shit. Like, oh, when I was younger, I'd done salvia a handful of times, and I didn't do any of the shit those dudes did. But then, like, even out on the streets, I know this one chick, man. We would smoke a little shit, right? And I'd be fine, up, but fine. And she would just start wigging out and doing all kinds of weird stuff. And then she'd be gone. I'd be like, where'd she go, I go into the bathroom and she's like fucking just tearing her face apart. Yeah, some people, everyone's different. Some things affect people differently than others. And a lot of those people I've seen doing that spice were wigging out. And another thing that you'll see a lot of, especially a lot of these old timers, because they're good at it and they know how to do it, is, making wine. I've seen it a lot. Like I said, I only drank it twice. And the first time, I didn't even really, I got a little buzz, but I didn't actually get, drunk. And the second time, I was doing all right. But the first time was some guy, I don't really think he knew what he was doing. And honestly, it was so cheap that it didn't really matter. But the second time, it was definitely more expensive, but I got what I paid for. Most definitely. And, I even on intake, in an intake where I'm from, they shake you down once a week. And I remember this dude got busted with 30 oranges. I'm like, where did you get 30 oranges? We get an orange twice a week. Where did you get 30 of them? He got hemmed up with all these oranges. He definitely didn't know what he was doing. Because he had the oranges cut in half and just partly squeezed. I don't know if they reabsorbed them. Peeling everything in a plastic sack. No sugar, no... I don't know if he was just going to ferment that and drink it. And, that doesn't get you drunk. That poisons your liver and makes you feel funny. There's a difference. But other than that, that's kind of the basics, for a point, maybe 2 points, you're going to be paying $50 for crystal, or, I already talked about the other stuff. So yeah, that's the 411 on where I was at. Like I said, I didn't associate myself with that too much, but you see it. It's weird because, in prison, you're supposed to mind your own business, but at the same time, you have to be hyper vigilant. It's such a catch-22 because, somebody gets beat and you don't see it. You don't see it. But you see everything, you know what I mean? At least I did. You're hyper vigilant. You have to be. And it's not. It doesn't take a lot for situations to turn. I feel like some people got the wrong idea when I explained my story on 23andMe. That Oregon prisons are soft, and it's so not the case. We're not that far from Southern or Northern California, or California, period. And that's, all of our politics mirror that, it's, I can't say for sure because I've never been to the California prison system, but just from what I've seen and read and other people I've interacted with, it's not that far off. It's a little more lax, don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of crazy things, but I also seen some things that maybe shouldn't have got let go that did. But it's all situational, And And also at the same time, like, I can only speak for the units I was on. Like, the medium 4 I was at, EOCI. I mean, we got A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3, B4, C1, and then on the east side, they have a whole another skew of dorms, and then there's an honor unit too. So there's a lot of units there. I mean, I think it's like roughly 2,000 people. So it varies, you know, and somebody new comes in from the hole or done doing their IMU packet, and the tier can change and politics can change, you know, or somebody gets a message from another institution and, you know, things get crazy. And I was thinking, I got this story, I'll probably tell, I don't know, in the next video or two, but silence in prison means you better be on your toes. So I think with that, I'm going to wrap things up. Just wanted to give you guys, you know, a little bit of the prison content with some positivity too. I don't want it all to be doom and gloom, you know. I want there to be some positivity in there too. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. But remember, if I can get clean and sober, for real, if I can do it, anybody can. You just got to put in the effort and be willing. And it's just like anything. Don't be scared to fail. It happens, but you have to put in the effort. If you need help and if you're serious about it, you know, reach out to me and I will do what I can. I'm only one man, but I have some resources. I will make phone calls. I will do what I can if you're serious about it, you know. Yeah. All right. Until I see you next time, take care.